What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Harry the Horse Barbecue, and today we're making some crispy bark beef ribs, plus bonus pork butt and chicken quarter legs. Guess it's a big barbecue day. Come and check it.
Harry the Horse Barbecue.
Alright, y'all. I got this 3-bone rack of plate ribs, dino ribs, whatever you want to call them, from Barb's Butchery in the Hudson Valley, and you can see that these beef ribs are looking really nice and marbled throughout, a little fatty throughout the cut, but not a big deal there. Every time I get a rack of beef ribs from a butchery, they always leave this flat, lean meat on top, and it's not a problem, but you don't want to cook that. It's a different cut. It's almost similar to like a brisket flat. It's just going to slide off at the end of the day, so I'm going to remove it, and I am going to, in the same process, remove the fat, or some of the fat, on the beef ribs. This allows me to expose the meat of the ribs that I actually want to stay intact on the ribs, and to build a better bark. If I were to leave that whole flat piece on, then the bark would be sporadic and erratic, and also that flat piece would just slide off. So here I'm going to take down some of the fat, and I will be throwing some of that fat on the fire so nothing's going to waste here. And I am going to cook that little lean cut of meat as almost like a beef rib junior. Shout out to Ant's Barbecue Cookout. But all I'm doing is trimming off some of the fat, but not all of it because I want it to crisp up. These are going to be crispy bark beef ribs, and that fat's going to really aid in that crispy bark. Shout out Jerby Barbecue. He always says to round off the edges of your beef ribs, and I'm just doing that to a small degree here, just making sure that no corners are going to burn up on the cooker. You can see the backside of these ribs. The membrane is gone, and I was a little concerned about that, but you'll see in the end that the membrane isn't super crucial, so if your butcher takes it off, not a big deal. Going down with a layer of Q glue here, and these beef ribs are going to be classic Jerby style. They're going to be pepper, salt, Lowry's, and then I think I hit them with a little bit of roasted granulated garlic, my secret go-to weapon. So as you can see, just hit the back of these beef ribs since there's no membrane with some pepper, some salt, some Lowry's, and a little bit of the roasted granulated garlic powder. You can see that in my hand right there. Making sure it's nice and set in on the back, and then repeat the same thing on the presentation side of our ribs. I'm going to go down with a layer of Q glue. Pepper heavy on these, as you'll see in a moment. Really trying to build some really nice bark, attract a lot of good smoke. Pepper down, going to hit it with some salt and some Lowry's, and these are going to be looking really nice before they hit the cooker. My finishing secret ingredient of my roasted granulated garlic, and here you go. Look how well seasoned these beef ribs are. Jerby Barbecue, shout out. His beef ribs are always nice and seasoned heavily. Don't forget your sides here. I made sure I got mine. And these beef ribs are ready to go on the cooker. So we're gonna throw them out there. Here's our little beef rib junior. Again, shout out Ant's Barbecue Cookout. If you haven't checked out his channel, he does some really cool stuff. I like that guy. Making sure we got all the sides of our beef ribs and beef rib junior looking good before it goes out on the cooker. I'm excited about these, but we've got a little bonus here. We're gonna throw on a pork butt as well. We're gonna score the fat cap so we can aid in that crispy bark on our pork shoulder, because that's the whole goal of this video, is to build as crispy of a bark as possible. We're gonna make our rub with 2 parts, all eyeballed, 2 parts coarse black pepper, 2 parts of diamond crystal kosher salt, so 50-50 there, about 1 part of a roasted granulated garlic powder, and about 1 part of a toasted onion powder, and then just a sprinkling of Hungarian paprika. I wouldn't say it's a full part or half part or anything like that. Again, all of this was pretty much eyeballed to just make a rub that I think works really well on pork. Pepper, salt, 50-50, and lots of it because the pork can take a lot of seasoning. then a little hint of garlic, little hint of onion, paprika for color. Comes out great. We're going to hit this pork shoulder with Q glue and then go down with a very, very heavy coat of rub. You got to remember that this piece of meat is thick and it's going to take a lot of seasoning to try to build flavor all the way through. And when we mix that bark in at the end when we shred it, we want that bark to be really, really flavorful to help aid in flavoring the meat that doesn't necessarily have any bark. So you can see heavy coat of rub on here, looking really awesome. Pork shoulder is the way to go, guys. It's, in my opinion, kind of underrated. I like it. It's easy. It's always good. We're going to get our fire started now. We're going down with some Royal Oak lump charcoal in our chimney. We're going to light it up. I don't always start with a full chimney. Sometimes I'll start with just wood splits. Today was a day where I wanted to build a hot coal bed right off the gate. Open up all the parts of my cooker, let my coals get hot. Gonna fill up my water pan. I just use a bowl, throw it in the top rack where it's hot to get as much steam as possible. Dumping the coals in, get a nice hot coal bed, and we are gonna go down and throw in some oak and cherry wood. I wanted to get this fire going as quick as possible so I can get the meat on because I knew my time was limited and I had to get both the beef ribs and the pork shoulder done in about 10 hours. So we had to build this fire as quick as possible. You can see it lit up there and good to go. Meat going on, pork shoulder going in the back where my cooker is hotter because I know that's going to take longer, and the beef ribs right next to it, bottom rack. And then I throw on the little beef rib junior, which came out fantastic. I don't have footage of it, but man, that thing was killer. Close her up, ready to go. Alright y'all, 6 hours in on these beef ribs, and they're looking really good. The fat is getting rendered. I left a good amount on there. It's getting crispy. All I've done is pretty much let them ride. Haven't really touched them. I spritzed them once or twice, but what I'm going to do is basically baste this in beef tallow for the next few hours until these things are probing tender. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap them as I rest them. Throw them in a little butcher paper wrap with some beef tallow, let them rest, and that's pretty much it. Let's push this back in, and all I'm going to do is kind of just sop up some of this beef tallow, just give them a nice little baste. We're just taking a brush, basting them with some beef tallow, and that's it. We're gonna rock them out for a little longer and see how they do. But they're looking good so far. I'm gonna hit this pork butt, little spritz. And that's pretty much it. How's this fat doing on this pork butt? Still got a ways to go. All right, close her up. These beef ribs and pork shoulder went for a little barbecue cookout. Shout out Neek, shout out Riss for having us, and glad I could bring a little barbecue over. But you could see these beef ribs came out awesome, sliding right off the bone. We cubed them up for everybody. Man, the reviews were off the hook. I was super happy that everyone enjoyed the food. It's a real labor of love, but you know, I love doing it for everyone else. Those beef ribs, you could see cooked literally to perfection. They were melt in your mouth. High quality stuff from Barb's Butchery. Couldn't be happier with the end result, and I know everyone else was as well. You could see this pork butt is glistening at the end, tearing really nice and easily. I could say that this was a win altogether. Super easy cook, low maintenance. The bark is the key. Render that fat, guys, because you will be glad you did at the end. So what y'all can do is make sure you like this video. Try out this crispy bark technique. I think it is an absolute stunner of a technique. You're gonna blow people away with different textures and fat render. It's gonna be so nice. So hit that like button for me if you enjoyed this video. Make sure you follow me on Instagram at HarryTheHorseBBQ. Love seeing what you guys are cooking up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know you wanna do it. The content is great, so just hit the like button, the subscribe button, comment down below with your favorite crispy bark recipe and what I should cook next. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.